That's Charles McAllister. Good morning to you, Charles.
Morning, Julia. How are
Thank
you?
you so much for joining us. Very well indeed. I'm delighted the heating is still on, but, we'll see how long that lasts, eh? Let's talk first of all about what Sir Keir Starmer had to say. They talk a load of nonsense about the whole green energy, the revolution. What was it, 500,000 new jobs we're going to suddenly miraculously have? No doubt, give them all to migrants, I'm assuming, because we won't have the skills in this country working in green energy. But this is all predicated on this £28 billion investment. So what's he had to say?
Well, he said he might not go through with it, or it might not happen as soon as was initially promised. I think this goes back to the big issue that's been a focus of debate by the government. The Treasury wrote a review on this. What are the costs of net zero and where will they fall? And the simple fact is costs will have to fall in one of three ways. One, you levy a tax on industry, in which case they'll disappear. Two, you levy a tax on people. So people's taxes go up, tax on home heating, things like that, higher income taxes, that sort of thing, or you borrow more. That's it. It has to be one of the three.
And we can't borrow more. We found that out the hard way under Liz Truss.
Indeed. So you're back to options one or two. You either have more taxes on people or more taxes on industry. If you tax more on industry, they will disappear overseas. Talk about poor energy policy. Look at the announcement that the Grangemouth refinery, 4 or 5% of Scottish GDP will be shutting down in 2025. That is because of high energy costs. They're going to turn it into a fuel depot. So they're going to produce the fuels needed overseas, most likely the United States, where they have cheap energy, and then store them here instead of producing it here. You lose jobs, etc., etc.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant plan, isn't it? It's just madness, isn't it? But this is the thing. So, he's not going to be able to fund it. He's pledged 28 billion quid is not a small amount of money. That ain't changed down the back of the sofa for government spending, is it? He said we might not be able to do it in the first 5 years. Well, it's a 5-year term in government. He's not going to have all those jobs, but we're still going to have an awful lot of the extra taxes. He's made it very clear in his speech yesterday, where he basically said, there's not going to be a turning on of the taps. It's not going to be like under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, where there was just money to spend. The economy was doing great. There'd been a surplus in the budget. There is no money left. There's been no money for years. We are borrowed to the hilt. People are being taxed at the highest rate in 70 years. They're going to face quite a difficult time, aren't they?
I think they are. Assuming they don't open up the taps, which let's take what they say at face value, the best thing they can do is deregulation and preferably streamlining the planning system. And I mean that specifically for energy. The delays to build energy infrastructure have been absolutely horrendous. That applies across the board, onshore oil and gas, renewables, or even into house building and things like that. So there is a great opportunity to do that there, and that doesn't really cost anything, but politically it's very sensitive. I'm sure you'll have seen in the news over the last few weeks and months, there's been a big focus on pylons and net zero infrastructure.
The horrible, ugly things. They're going to put them up all the way across the country and basically say you haven't got a right to object.
East Anglia is going to be a particularly big area because the wind farms off the east coast will have to come on and go down, and that's been a focus of controversy. It will come down to one simple question: will national interest override local opposition? That is what it's going to come down to.
And that's the
if the answer to that is no, if the answer to that is no, then the UK will drift deeper into reliance on overseas energy.
Absolutely, and that costs a fortune, and you're at the whim of the international market. And again, because we all know there's nothing going wrong in the international global relations at all at the moment, is there? Just finally, briefly, to talk about Sellafield. So they think that it's been hacked by possibly the Russians or the Chinese. I'm no expert. That can't be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely not a good thing. Very scary story. Sellafield said they couldn't confirm it themselves, so there will be no doubt more information that comes out about this. But I think it highlights the risks within a highly sort of technological economy when you get very sophisticated hacking mechanisms from pretty unsavory nations. It puts UK infrastructure at risk, so they absolutely need to be resilient to that.
Absolutely. Charles McAllister, thank you very much indeed. He's an energy commentator, also the former director at UK Onshore Oil and Gas. Still with me is the editor of Spiked Online.